Welcome, my 305 subscribers, all of you who just watched New Japan on January the 4th, all of you AEW fans who are here for Kenny Omega, and all of you WWE fans who are here for Sasha Banks, Mercedes Varnado, Mercedes Moné, whatever you call her now, and to all of the New Japan faithful, of course, welcome to my review of New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 17 at Tokyo Dome. Let's begin. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the pre-show, and this might be the worst pre-show that I've ever seen in like a long ass time. Like, American promotions really put effort in their pre-shows, and I think I enjoyed Noah's first three matches more than I did this. Oh my god. And like, the only thing that made those first three matches there better is like the fucking juniors match with Congo versus Ninja Mac, Dante Leon, and Alejandro. Like that's the only thing that makes this better, because like in that pay-per-view, like two of the three matches were shit. But here the first match doesn't really count. And then the next two in the pre-show are like god awful. I couldn't watch the Rambo. There were fun moments, yes, but it was like mostly time wasting. Just like get rid of this shit. And like have a 2-night Wrestle Kingdom, put everyone in the card somehow. You know what, just like do the multi-man matches if you want to get everyone in the card. So yeah, I'm gonna start talking about the first match. So the first match is like just an exhibition amateur wrestling match. It's between Young Lion Ryohei Oiwa, I think that's how you say it, versus Boltin Oleg. So yeah, Ryohei Oiwa, I've never seen him wrestle before, but this dude looks like the next ace. Dude has the face of an Okada. Just like Google this man, since I can't show pictures of New Japan wrestlers in my videos because I might get another copyright strike. So like, God knows what visual aids I'm gonna use for this. But yeah, as for Boltin Oleg, he can be like Oiwa's eternal rival, since like he looks the part. But the match is sort of just like a payday match if Young Lions get paid. Apparently Boltin Oleg is gonna be a Young Lion. He's gonna be joining New Japan, so yeah, maybe in the future we'll get them in the main event of Tokyo Dome, but as of now, not yet. They have like a 3-minute time limit match, just an exhibition of like amateur wrestling. It's mostly like Boltin Oleg throwing around Oiwa, and then when things become a little more pro wrestling-y, yeah, that's a word. When Oiwa starts doing like wristwatches, he starts doing like cross arm breakers, he starts to have a chance, but match ends with Oleg also doing pro wrestling and like going for the pin, and then time limit reached, nobody wins the first match. And yeah, I mean, this was alright. I like how like Oleg just threw around Oiwa, the future ace of the company, I think. But this match was just like pretty much nothing. I ate it and then I digested it. It's just like abalone. But abalone is a lot more impressive than this whole pre-show. The taste might be the same. God damn it. If you've eaten abalone before, it's kind of like this pre-show. But in terms of the look, because it's actually moving as you eat it, it's as impressive as one of the eliminations in the King of Pro Wrestling Rambo. And I'm going to talk about next. So yeah, but before that, this match gets a rating of dark match. Okay, as for the King of Pro Wrestling Rambo, this is usually my least favorite match of every Wrestle Kingdom. Like, even the ones I actually watched in person, 12 and 14, I fucking hated the Rambo. Like, you don't get it. They're so boring live. They're much better, like, through the monitor. And in this one, they have, like, some fun spots. We have some fun moments, just like Evil being eliminated first, Ishii's betrayal of Hikuleo, the nipple twister elimination by Phantasmo on Hinare. And that's what I compare Abalone to. At one point, Bullet Club dominate because of their numbers. But then the most important person in the entire Rumble gets eliminated, and that's Kenta. Yeah, they eliminated Kenta. They don't even give him like, I mean, I think we can all agree that this man should be on the main card. He should be competing for a championship or like just having a special singles match. But he's stuck here. Noah actually treated him better in their pay-per-view. Maybe the most entertaining part is the finish where like apparently father and son duo Shingo Takagi and Phantasmo like fight it out. They try to eliminate each other. It's sort of like a comedy routine where Phantasmo gets eliminated, and then we get the foursome of Shingo Takagi, Sho, Toru Yano, and Great Okan as the final like four to compete for the trophy that Shingo has tomorrow on New Year's Dash. I hate this trophy. It's like their 24/7 title. Like, come on, New Japan is transitioning to a more Western style. Like, just like book the dudes in like special singles matches. Not everything has to be for the championship. Come on, New Japan. Just like have people feud normally in American promotions. They can make it work, and I think the wrestlers can also make it work. Just like have maybe like two singles feuds without belts. Yeah, I think that's not too much to ask. And yeah, this match ate up 30 minutes. It didn't have to. There aren't even 20 people in the match. There's like 19. You could have given the time for the women, who like had about 6 minutes, like 5 point something even. What a terrible booking decision. Jesus Christ. And if there's anyone I support in like leaving the company, it's freaking Evil. Because this guy used to be a world champion. He used to be double champion. He also used to be something. Like, I think he held like all major titles. And he was like at his hottest when he was in LIJ. And now he's nothing. He got eliminated first in the Rambo. What is happening? Why even have this dude do what he does with that stupid gimmick? Have him be in a singles feud. Right now he's like the leader of his faction and he's like in the mid card or like lower. What the fuck are you doing with Evil and Kenta? Oh my god. Despite me like talking so badly about this match, I think it's like TV undercard. Shit. Okay, so after this we have, oh my god, Satoshi Kojima, Yuji Nagata, and Togi Makabe against Minoru Suzuki, Tatsumi Fujinami, and Tiger Mask. 4, I think. So yeah, the old man match of the night. And I think Minoru Suzuki and Satoshi Kojima are very capable still, even at their age. We've seen it time and time again. Suzuki in AEW as well as like in his matches. And then Kojima and Noah is the heavyweight tag team champion with Takashi Sugiura. Both of them can still go, so if this was like a 1v1 instead, this would have worked better, I think. This would have been better received, but it wasn't because it had like 4 people who can barely move. Like, Yuji Nagata was there when I watched the show live before the pandemic. And then for Togi Makabe, I mean, he's like alright, but he lost it back in Wrestle Kingdom 12. He's not like the same man anymore. And then as for Tatsumi Fujinami, the guy can barely move anymore. I barely felt him in the match. As well as Tiger Mask, who was like responsible along with Makabe for that terrible botched finish. So yeah, whenever Minoru Suzuki and Satoshi Kojima were in the ring, the match was watchable. It was actually pretty good when both of them were there. But when it was anyone else, it was just like a chore to watch. The finish is like a botched something by Tiger Mask, and then a botched roll up, and then Togi Makabe just like pinning him for the win. God, this was pitiful. Oh my god. I know I said like treat Kojima better, New Japan, and they didn't. They fucking didn't. Noah treated him like a fucking star yesterday, and then here in New Japan in his home promotion. Ah, god. Let's just move on to the main show. So for the first match of the main card, we have Catch 22, members of United Empire. So that's TJ Perkins. I was almost gonna say Tokyo Joshi Pro. Shit. And Francisco Akira against Leo Rush and Yo. And what an exciting, fast paced match. This was the show stealer of the night. And like they go for dives at the start. I think this is even faster and like more intense than the American matches. Like this is how a juniors tag team match should be like. Especially when a lot of your heavyweights can do the same thing. Or like they can also fly, just like Will Osprey, for example. This should have had tornado rules though, since they pretty much ignore the tag rules. But for what we got, I think it's like alright to break these rules for this one. Referee has the right to make his own rules, I guess. But yeah, story of the match was actually pretty good, since Catch 22 take out Leo Rush with like a face buster, like a double team face buster to like the ramp that's studded. It's studded with bulbs, so it's not like a smooth surface. It's like a terrible fall, and I'm glad that like they made it make sense that Leo Rush actually bled to sell just like the devastation of the ramp. Maybe even like hyping up how this ramp can cut someone for matches after this. And yeah, so Leo is taken out, Yo's the whipping boy. They slow it down and then they go for like a spot of the match candidate, and it's like the electric chair senton like double team where Francisco Akira shouts take picture, take picture. At least he did it just once here. He doesn't spam it. So yeah, it's a lot better than in Battle Autumn, I think. But then Leo Rush comes back, he gets a hot tag in, and then they proceed to have this like very non-linear encounter. You know that like video on Instagram, I think, where like nothing what you expect happens? Yeah, they go for something like that. Like there are a lot of like tag team moves that are disrupted, or like they don't end as successfully as you would expect that it normally does in American promotions. Like we have people disrupting, like United Empire go for their finisher, which is like the Tower of Doom, but like they go for this and then it's countered actually twice. First is Yo superplexes Akira instead, and then like does a Falcon Arrow after that, and then it's followed by a Frog Splash. See, it's like very non-linear. It's like unpredictable. And then like they go for it again. United Empire go for it again. Now it's it's still Yo, but now he counters it in a different way. And yes, see what I mean? It's like non-linear. It's like anything can happen, any counter can happen. It gets you on the edge of your seat, actually. It's very must watch to like see what happens next. And it's like 12 o'clock here, where I'm from. I watched it at 12 o'clock, and now it's like 3:30. It's that good. So the finish is Rush and Akira. They both cancel each other out. Yo and TJP are in the ring 1v1. TJP catches Yo in like just a roll up and gets the 3 count. Top 3 spots of the match are number 3, the take picture electric chair spot, the senton. Number 2 is the ramp spot on Leo Rush. That takes him out. He blades nicely. I like how the bleeding makes sense, like the blood pattern on his face. And then number 1 is the Tower of Doom counter, where Yo superplexes Akira, and then he hits him with like a Falcon Arrow. It's like pretty much like Seth Rollins, like what he does, but this one is like a counter to a double T move. So yeah, really fun opener. It wakes you up. That's how I can describe this. It's exciting, it's unpredictable. I love how the tag team moves were thwarted in like unique ways. So I'm gonna give this a score of TV main event, pay-per-view undercard. Let's move on. So after this is the most controversial match of the entire show. It's Kairi Hojo versus Tam Nakano for the IWGP Women's Championship. And yeah, it's controversial because it's 5 minutes and 47 seconds. And second is that the debut that everyone saw coming, it was announced, was pretty much botched. It was so bad that it left a horrible taste in my mouth after like the match itself between Kairi and Tam was shortened. Like, I've seen Kairi Hojo perform for like 30 minutes against Mayu Iwatani in the last pay-per-view. And she's also had like pretty lengthy matches in NXT. And as for Tam, I've seen highlights. I've heard from people. And in Stardom, they go for like hour-long epics and stuff. Both of these women are capable of like at least giving us like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. They even had entrances that are pretty elaborate. Elaborate enough. Tam showed up with a halberd. And Kairi had this like awesome Titantron Grim Reaper thing where she like charismatically walked into the ring. But the entrances ended up being as long as the match itself. Yeah, and that debut after that was botched was also longer than the match. I mean, it was actually longer than the match. Fuck. And you gave 30 minutes to a shitty Rumble. And you gave 9 minutes to a couple of old people. Except Kojima and Suzuki. But those matches could have been shorter and like you could have had this match be given like at least like 5 minutes each from those matches or something. Come on. These women would have torn the house down. They would have blown the pre-show out of the water. And maybe like a lot of matches in the card. Because like for the match itself, I mean, it was paced like a main event and it just made things a lot more painful. Because of like the disappointment that follows. They have like a main event type of opening. Very slow with wrestling, some awesome strikes, and even like a prone face-to-face. And Tam's reaction when she got the upper hand, being applauded by the largest crowd of her life, was just awesome to see. On the bright side, there are like a lot of strong spots, a lot of like high impact moves that can justify the ending or like the length of the match in kayfabe. But as a watcher, as someone who got invested at the start, this was nothing short of a letdown. At like 5 minutes, the crowd was at its loudest. Sane hit her like spinning chops. She also acted like it's been 30 or 20 minutes. Felt a bit weird. There was a lot of screaming for like a short match. But yeah, 2 back fists or 2 back chops, whatever that is, followed by the insane elbow for the win. Kairi Hojo retains. And goddammit, just when the match was like getting good, they got the crowd behind them. They were about to like shift gears. They were about to reach like bomb phase proper. But match ends. And then we get the debut of Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks. And she couldn't have had a worse debut than this. Like, what a terrible first impression. The response to her was like 7 out of 10. She had the best headgear. Actually, like, all of her clothing was very nice. It's striking to any watcher, even the Japanese fans who don't know her. But the music was a bit off. It's too sexy. I like the CEO gimmick, but the entrance music, it's like a porn star's. And did they really need her to like go out there, do a full entrance instead of just like calling Kairi out, just like going to the ring, Pro Wrestling Noah style, or like just like a post-match challenge style sort of debut? That would have been fine. But the full entrance just ate time off the match. And as for the face-to-face, they started out pretty okay. Mercedes or Sasha is still in shape. They play it off as they have history. They shake hands. But then Sasha/Mercedes botches her move. The like gory special DDT. And then the promo she cut is not as good as what she used to do. Like, this was just too slow. This was too sexual. She even did like a bunch of dances, like Divas era dancing. Ah, God. What the hell happened to Sasha Banks? What the hell happened right after when I stopped watching? So yeah, match gets a score of TV main event. It's too short. And they play it off like it's been 20 minutes when it's only been 5. Yeah, what a disappointment. Terrible booking, New Japan. Bad. But after this, for the post-match segment, my God, what happened? But yeah, Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks showed up. Her name is Mercedes Moné, money. Banks, CEO, get it? But yeah, I mean, that's all fine and well. The name's okay. She still looks amazing. Like, Kid Mikaze, Mercedes' husband, did an amazing job with the costume. Well, I think he does the costumes. The headgear is awesome. Just like the whole look and feel. I don't know about the theme music. Didn't like that very much. Her WWE theme is a lot better. It's very mainstream. A lot more appealing to fans, especially like Western fans. This theme here, I don't know about that. But she faces off against the winner, Kairi. She challenges her for the title, basically. She goes for a handshake, but then she attacks Kairi. But this attack goes so horribly wrong. I think she should have just went for the bank statement. Like, why not? It's a great finisher anyway. There's like a whole move that happens before the crossface. But here it's just like a gory special DDT. And it kind of doesn't make sense. And plus it's harder to bump for. Exhibited by what happened here when Kairi like doesn't take it well. It was botched and like very visibly botched. It was a terrible first impression. People shat on this on social media. All of the Sasha haters. Like just the worst pieces of human trash out there. Who hate her just because she left the company. She left your beloved WWE. Like who gives a shit? It's her life. And you're acting like you didn't enjoy her when she was in the WWE. She was like the first woman. She was like one of the first 2 women to participate in a Hell in a Cell match. She's part of like the best women's match in your company's history. And that's NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Did anybody fucking forget? Does her betrayal in your eyes just like eliminate all of that? Are you cancel culturing her? Yeah, it's so fucking dumb. And now that Vince McMahon is coming back, I fucking hope you guys suffer. I hope you guys sit through the worst Monday Night Raws. Like all of your favorites get released again. Or better, get jobbed out. It's gonna be beautiful. But what's not beautiful is this whole debut. Because right after this, she cuts a promo. She cuts a WWE style promo in front of a Japanese crowd. And it might be because she hasn't performed in front of a large crowd in a long time, or it's the jitters, or it's because she's presenting in front of a Japanese crowd. This just didn't sound good. She cut a promo about making history. And you know, if she ever goes to AEW, she would work incredibly well by making history with Swerve's new faction and Rick Ross, with the young legend. Yeah. But this promo just didn't sound good. She needs to fix this, like fix a lot of this. Her look is amazing, but everything else, not very much. Okay, so after this, we have Bishamon versus FTR for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. So this is not one of those long epics that we're used to with FTR. The match is a lot more standard. It's a bit compressed. And I didn't sense much of a story here, like what we usually get in Dynamite or ROH. It's more of a show stealer. If there's a story, it's just like the endurance and the fighting spirit of all of the competitors, actually. No limbs, especially, were worked on. And match was pretty much a tornado tag team match. This is one that Cornette probably won't like. So yeah, like I said, it's a bit compressed. We get the superplex splash combo at like minute 4. It's a bit odd, it's too early. That's 4 out of 10 minutes, by the way. We also get a variation of what the Dark Order do, like the German suplex followed by the roll-up pin, where like one member of FTR jumps over the bridge, like the German suplex bridge. Even Bishamon do a lot of tag team moves, but they're not as creative as FTR's. This went by really quick, and the finish of the match is just a Shoto for the win, Bishamon for the win. New Japan should really give time for like all of the other matches. Like at least have them 15 minutes. Extend the show if you have to, or like shave off some of the minutes from the co-main events. Or you know what, just remove the Rambo. And give that time to some of these undercard matches like this one that could have used like 5 more minutes at least. Come on. Or what would be better is to like split the shows again into 2 days. Top spots of the match are the Superplex Splash and the Dark Order combination. Yeah, nothing really special here. TV main event. I'm so disappointed. And again, I stand by having Sanada and Naito win. That would have been a better match if, like, given more time. Even this, if given more time. But no, you just had to have the Rambo. So yeah, after this is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ren Narita for the IWGP Television Championship. And first off, there are so many championships in New Japan. You didn't need this. Like, New Japan is incapable of having matches or of like making stories around like simple singles matches. It's like everything needs to have a title attached to it or it means nothing. And that's so fucking dumb. You have the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships, the Junior Heavyweight Championship, the King of Pro Wrestling Trophy that's now going to be a championship that looks bad. Yeah, upon recording I've watched New Year's Dash already. And then you have the TV Championship, the Never Openweight Championship, the US Championship, tags, and then the Heavyweight Championship. Like, what the hell? There are 5 singles championships. Like, what's even up anymore? At least take out the King of Pro Wrestling. And as for the TV title, like, why do you even need it? It's like the All-Atlantic Championship. But I guess if you remove the King of Pro Wrestling Championship, and then if like Zack builds the title up, I mean, to me it doesn't look that bad. As like a lower card guy, I would like wear this with pride. But yeah, for me more of the problem is just like oversaturation with the belts. And unpopular opinion, I think the juniors division limits your roster. If you get rid of like the juniors label, you can have matches with like anyone. Like, there are more combinations, more interesting feuds, and not just reruns of everything. So yeah, at least take out the King of Pro Wrestling Championship, and maybe this one. But as for the match itself, it was actually very interesting, very Noah-esque, if I might say so myself. It's a clash of styles between a striker and a technical wrestler. They each shine in their respective fields, and fail when they attempt to wrestle the other guy's style. Narita is a pretty good Shibata like successor, but Zack makes this match. Like, Ren holds his own enough, but Zack just is the guy right now to trust with this title. Most impressive spots are the technical wrestling and submissions, as well as like pins, like just the transitions by Zack. In the end, Zack is just like too much for Ren, especially on the ground. And he overpowers him with an abdominal stretch. Ren rolls him up for a leg lock. But then Zack somehow turns this into a cross arm breaker and then wins by submission. So apparently this is Zack's first singles title in all of his run. And that's criminal. That's like some dumb shit. How did this guy not win anything in that duration when I wasn't watching? Like, how? How do you not give him the US title? So he's real instrumental in like the feature of this belt, but do you really need it though? Glad for Zack, but because of just the oversaturation of belts, this title is like at a 0 right now. This match gets TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard match. It was pretty good. I like that Ren tapped out immediately to a convincing looking submission, unlike the STF with Ethan Page and Bryan Danielson. And so yeah, but the post-match is the Mighty Don't Kneel, the former TM61. They come in and invite Zack to their faction. We get a tease for a rejection, but of course, Zack accepts. These guys are pretty much friends, and like, you need factions in New Japan to like thrive. And this is like the perfect faction for Zack. A couple of Commonwealth boys, they're all like Anglican, or whatever you call like English God Save the King and stuff. Yeah. So after this is Tama Tonga versus Carl Anderson for the Never Openweight Championship. So WWE fans, I guess there's no official working relationship between the two companies. He's portrayed as Machine Gun Carl Anderson. It's as if he never left. But of course, he did put Tama Tonga over. But I do agree that there should be at least like a loose sort of relationship, just so we can have this like meeting point of all of the wrestling companies, which is more like what Noah is right now. It's just best for business, but Vince is coming back, so that's never gonna happen. The match was a storyteller. of Carl Anderson's dickishness and Tama Tonga's fighting spirit. We have like a genius start to the match where, in true Bullet Club fashion, Carl Anderson cheats, hits him with the belt, takes him outside, slams him to the ramp. It's like the Bernard driver, the A-Train's finisher. This was an unorthodox match for Japanese standards, and they only enter the ring at like about 4-ish, like halfway in like a 9-point-something minute match. Moves play out very well though into each other. They make sense in like Tama's struggle, but it would have helped if them having the same finishers was emphasized more. So the crowd are into the match, and Tama had them in the palm of his hands. This crowd loves this dude. A lot of screaming, a lot of playing up to them, until that botched finish. So first we get like a second rope gun stun that could have ended the match, I think, to a gun stun with a lot of like pantomiming before it. But when he finally hit it, the bump was terrible. Just like search it. I can't show visual aids. Anderson they like formed a V or like an L. It wasn't really a cutter. It was something else. The title is finally back in New Japan, and I think Tama's getting a push, so good for him. And finally we get someone different. So yeah, top 3 spots of the match. Number 3 is the second rope gun stun to the finish. Number 2 is the flying neckbreaker by Carl, and then number 1 is the Bernard driver on the ramp. This match, it was pretty good, so maybe TV undercard, pay-per-view opener should be enough. And then after this, we get the Muto match. We get Shooter, Tanahashi, and Keiji Muto against LIJ, made up of Bushi, Sanada, and Naito. I wanted LIJ in another position, but there's no one else that I think could get a good match out of Muto, like better than these guys. We have the Sanada and Muto connection. We had Naito, who was like pretty chill in this match. Didn't do a lot. And we had Bushi to take the pin. So yeah, Sanada and Muto, man, come on, chills. Student and teacher. They start the match with fast exchanges. They're evenly matched. Muto gets the upper hand, and then dude tries to attempt a moonsault, and then Tana stops him. Because, of course you do. He's like 60 with bad knees. He doesn't even do the Shining Wizard well, like, consistently anymore. And then he's gonna attempt a moonsault. I think he did attempt a moonsault once. Against Kaito. I forgot. But yeah, from what I remember, I don't know if I'm imagining things, but yeah, he did hit a moonsault once. It's not that unbelievable. But yeah, this moment was very funny. Tanahashi stops Muto from doing it. He even like stares at the crowd and makes this face. This was spot of the match. And this was pretty much the only spot of the match. Muto gets tagged out. He never comes back in like a legal man status ever again. And this is sort of reminiscent to like a Noah team versus team match, or like a match at New Year's Dash. Pretty insubstantial, not much substance. A bit disappointing, with people just coming in and out as they will. The finish is like the best executed Shining Wizard of the whole past couple of days by Muto, and then a paradigm shift by Shooter for the win. And then it looks like Naito's gonna feud with Shooter. It's okay. Kind of brings down Naito's stock a bit. It's a pretty much a disappointing last match by Muto in the company where he started. And so hopefully the match he has with Sting and Darby against like another team will be better than this. So TV main event. Basically basic stuff, but the fun moments I think make it enough, like just barely enough for a TV main event, as well as like just the gravity of Keiji Muto. And then after this is Taiji Ishimori versus Master Wato versus Hiromu Takahashi versus El Desperado for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. So this is a continuation of their match at Battle Autumn, since we got again the story of Taiji Ishimori just fucking everyone over. He's that one kid who doesn't participate in the group work and then just comes in to take the credit. Well, at least he tries, because he doesn't get away with it for long. These guys have learned from what happened in the pay-per-view in Battle Autumn. But of course, we get like an amazing moment where Taiji just like plays them like a fiddle. He manages to take them all out, like on the ramp area. Like a sick sequence happens here. Since like they all like follow Taiji up to the ramp, Taiji manages to get them to take each other out. And like they land on like the ramp that's like studded. We have a countout spot. They run back to the ring and then Taiji just moonsaults all over all of them. Genius. And I love how pretty much everyone is involved all of the time. We have like a lot of loose alliances, a lot of interruption spots to like moves that are already in progress, and it ends up being another move. We have like scattershot targeting. These guys pretty much hate each other, so who gives a shit who they hit? We have a story-based, fast-paced match, and thank God it doesn't linger much on like the four-man strike battle, because that's like got old with the match at Forbidden Door, and thankfully they don't like dwell with it here. Everyone is pretty much botch free except for Wato, who for some reason lets go of the pin when he hits Ishimori with his finisher. I think this is supposed to be a kick out, but it's kind of botched. He does try to like make up for it though by like attempting for a second rope move. A top rope move. It makes him look like just this arrogant dude who wants to overdo things, or like OCD. But it was a terrible visual, just like a stupid moment. A brain fart moment. The climax of the match is a bunch of 1v1s, where they take turns. Oh no. I hope they could have like maintained them all being in the ring. Like even if the others were just like lying down on the floor, just like have this happen as you're pinning your opponent. It's a much better visual, I think, than like two people outside. Because after Despy gets taken out, there's still like minutes left before the end, and he never gets to come back in. Even if Ishimori, Wato, and Takahashi have this like thing that goes on in the ring. But basically, Wato hits everyone with his finisher, but he keeps getting foiled. The same thing I described happened to Ishimori, but he got hit with a finisher, and it was closer to the end. I just wished like he would have stayed in the ring as Hiromu got the pin on Wato. It just makes them look like they're like fighting with their last breath. It like gives the title and the match more importance if they're like in the ring as they're losing. But poor Wato, he almost won many times. So yeah, finish of the match is a time bomb by Takahashi to Wato. I don't think this is as good as the match at Battle Autumn though. That one had a great dynamic and a great story to go with it. This, I think, is a pay-per-view undercard only. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Hiromu Takahashi is champion again, and they're just gonna rotate this like throughout the entire year. And hopefully they add more people into their juniors division. I mean, maybe with Kushida, he might win the title next Wrestle Kingdom. But yeah, maybe like push more people, have them participate in like long matches. I'm just sick of like the rotating around like their top four in like any division in any Japanese company. So after this is the most anticipated match in the entire card. It's the most well received. It's the one I really wanted to watch because, of course, dude from AEW versus New Japan Gaijin. There's so much story here built throughout the entire year in multiple companies. There's history between the two. There's history between the two and the company. And just everything works around this. The promos, especially by Osprey, are really good. The Twitter battles as well. And they deliver in the ring. Better than the next match. Spoilers. Like, there was no doubt that this was match of the night. Like, even when Jay and Okada made their entrances, we were still thinking about this match. And after the show, and beyond. No matter how much Jay White talked, no matter how much promoing you do in a company based on work rate, in another country where they don't understand what you're saying most of the time, work rate trumps all. But that's only for Japan. It's different in America, and I guess most of the world. But in Noah, there's the added element of your legitimate background. You can't make it to the main event scene by doing pipe bombs, transcendent promos, or like goofy catchphrases or characters that get over. It's just how it is in Japan. This match was basically everything I thought it would be and more, but I didn't expect all the blood, as well as all the crazy bumps. Like, I expected crazy bumps, but not as crazy as what happened in the match. I also didn't expect it to be so slow. And like, all the moves were given so much time to breathe, so much time to set up, and there was like always a struggle when one dude does a move on another. The other dude doesn't go down easy, or he doesn't take the punishment that easy. It's a fight for his life. And Osprey barely did a flip. Kenny didn't do any comedy spots. Like, all of the criticisms that have been levied to these people many years ago are no longer valid. People like Jim Cornette are like cancel culturing these guys. Just because of like perceived damage to the business, even if in Japan, wrestling is as strong as it has been in years. Notice that I didn't say ever because it'll probably take a longer time to get to Four Pillars of Heaven or Three Musketeers level of crowd, of viewership, of interest, but we're getting there. Hell, we're not even close to like the peak of New Japan a couple of years ago. But yeah, the story of the match is Osprey's back, which then opens up to Will Ospreay's everything. Yeah, the back punishment that Osprey takes is like pretty gradual. It's like normal moves at the start, but then he misses an Oscutter. It's on purpose, by the way. Kenny clearly hung on as Osprey landed on the apron. And like, it fits with the story, so it's not a botch. Like, the foreigners chanted "you fucked up," but did he really? It just shows how good he sold it. And yeah, again, there's a lot of softening up before moves happen, which I didn't know I needed. Kenny, though, is injured for real when Osprey does the Nando's kick. Like, 3 Nando's kicks, and he gets nailed with a third, and then has a, like, visible black eye. The sickest spot of the match is the DDT to the exposed turnbuckle, where Osprey blades when he goes down, he sells it. United Empire body block the crowd as they check for him, and then when they leave, when the dust settles, Osprey's bleeding all over the place. And what a bleeder this guy is. Fast clotter too, because the blood was pretty much gone when it was wiped on Kenny. And then a fully justified countout spot that is disrupted by Kenny. And then Osprey just gets his ass kicked. I think too much. The punishment was disproportionate. Like, Osprey should have been done at about minute 25. Or like somewhere around that. It was just all Kenny hitting all these big moves. Like the third sickest spot where he headbangs Will on the table outside until the holes are like enlarged. And Kenny was pretty much the heel here. Osprey was like clearly the underdog babyface. Like, dude takes a beating. But then at New Year's Dash, he's a heel again. So yeah, I kind of don't like that. But I guess the Japanese fans miss Kenny more. I mean, like, they miss him a lot, so you can't really heal him up. The fourth sickest spot is like a V-trigger to a bloody Osprey launching him to the outside. And then the second sickest spot of the match is like an alley-oop to the exposed turnbuckle, in where Osprey is just like loopy. He's selling it as if he's not all there. He's just like looking around at a distance at like the United Empire members as they're pretty much like telling him to move out of the way. And then like execution style, he's V-triggered on the back of his head. The storytelling here. God! Come on, detractors. You can't be this blind. This is like storytelling. What's happening here? Osprey mixes it up with like kickouts and rope breaks. Thankfully, it's not all kickouts. That would have been very Impact, and that's one of the flaws with Impact. And like the Bound for Glory show that I watched, that show needs a lot more rope breaks. Like, just feet on the rope at like 2.99 would be nice. And then this is the part where I thought it was a bit too much. When Osprey is dragged off of the turnbuckle, Kenny goes for the pin. It looks like Osprey's done, but then Kenny just lets him go. And then like right away V-triggers him. It's like he's playing with his food. And why all the criticism with the V-trigger spam? It's a cool move that looks and sounds nice. Punches are also repetitive and boring if not done correctly. Will's comeback is not as dominant as Kenny. It's pretty much him struggling through what he usually does. He's not able to like channel into his flippy old self to go that extra mile to win. He maintains like his hard hitting style with like a bunch of hidden blades, back of the head, front of the face, a lot of stiff shots. But the Stormbreaker is never hit. It's his ultimate move and it stays protected. The finish will pretty much like being done. He's in the Kamigoye position. He spits on Kenny as like a final show of defiance. Kenny Kamigoyes his head off and hits him with a one-winged angel for the win. This match was amazing. This is like match of the year. Like lock it in. This is gonna finish above everything else from any company. Jesus Christ. This is like a pay-per-view main event only. I think I'm gonna have to make like a higher rating for this one, just like Meltzer and his stars. It used to be until 5, but then he just added and like broke the list, devaluing it. But I think I'm gonna make it like pretty much like a pay-per-view main event only, transcendent, immortal, like one of the best matches of all time level. It's up there with those classic Japanese matches. Is it as good as Kobashi versus Misawa? Maybe like on the same league. But those guys took harder bumps. They're a lot bigger. And pretty much had to work with like what they had back then. Like the crowd's expectations today are like a lot higher. And even despite that, we still revere the Kobashi versus Misawa matches. So yeah, it's on like the same stratosphere, but not quite beats it out. It's like Omega versus Okada at Dominion. So yeah, after this is the main event, and I feel so sorry. Poor Okada and Jay, they had to follow this one up. They had to follow up the probable match of the year. And let's be honest, Jay White is nowhere near like the in-ring performer as Kenny Omega, Will Osprey, Kazuchika Okada, Tetsuya Naito are. But he can talk, and if you're a talker, it's very hard to get over in a country that can't speak your main language. Like even MJF, as generational as he is, I think will not do anything in Japan. But he doesn't give a shit. Jay White is kinda like MJF, but Jay is more threatening and is a less good promo than MJF. So I think he doesn't fit in New Japan. And I would support him to go to like an American company, anywhere else, where his gift of the gab will be more appreciated. People either might be weirded out or aroused by his accent. But yeah, they'll like get past that after some time. So I think Jay is going to go to New Japan Strong. But if he goes to AEW or WWE, I mean, can't really fault the guy. But this match was different from the last. It was like more of a chess match at the start rather than like a hatred-filled, just like war. There are like a lot of times where they're just like lying down. It's like the sort of match that I hate. But the story is built around Jay White's dickishness and like insecurity. The match is pretty much like a very slow struggle for control. Nothing really interesting happens in like the first 17 minutes. No limbs are specifically worked on. There's too much lying down. And with how superhuman the last pair of competitors looked like, especially Osprey, it made these guys look weak. There is still like a lot of setup to the moves. They're not just being done, so I like that. The bomb phase happens at about 20 minutes, and it's like a finisher counterfest, followed by strike battle that we are all used to. Like maybe the most savage things in the match are Jay's trash talks, but I mean, as for the content of the trash talk, can you really call Okada a coward? Maybe like use something else? Like use I'm better than you or something? Just calling Okada a coward it's like blasphemy. It's like so devoid from reality that I don't know, goddamn. Finish is Okada hits Jay with a Rainmaker for the win. And as you can hear, my interest in this match was affected by the previous one, and I sort of fell asleep in the middle of this one. Post-match made Jay look a bit weak, since he apologizes to Okada for some reason. It's a bit pitiful to watch. And then like to double down on this, he even like has trouble giving the belt to Okada, which is like pitiful as hell, but it's like a great visual. Maybe it shows that Jay White has like a lot of maturing to do. and that this isn't his final form. So Jay White leaves, Shingo steps in and then challenges Okada, and thank God. But when he continues this the next night at New Year's Dash, when he has his new championship, the King of Pro Wrestling Championship, the god-awful looking piece of trash that's the King of Pro Wrestling Championship, the lowest value belt in the entire company, it kind of doesn't make sense. Like, there's a huge gap between him and Okada in terms of, like, prestige of the title they're holding. But I think it's, like, a good way to build up the King of Pro Wrestling Championship. Do I think it should be there? No. There are too many belts as it is. Learn to have matches without, like, the championships. Like, Noah needs a lot of this too, but they do a lot of singles in between big shows. So Okada accepts. Apparently he made the KOPW Championship, so it kind of makes sense, but a bad look. And as for Okada's final promo, like, who else better to cut this than the poster boy of New Japan? The dude that'll never leave. The content was awesome because it's like him acknowledging the pandemic, acknowledging the fans' return, thanking them for support and such. And then he moves on to give tribute to Antonio Inoki. And there's so much optimism for the possible end of the pandemic. Kinda. I'm just like making that conclusion. Does seem like it though. So, great show. That's a lot more consistent than Noah's The New Year. Like, especially the undercard, it's very consistent. Nothing there really shines much though. Unlike an AEW or a WWE show will have. Like, nothing in the undercard like breaks out. But the peaks that New Japan shows reach is like higher than everything else. The main event was surpassed by the co-main though. You know what? Kinda like the Noah show. So my top matches of like the two cards combined, so number 1 is of course Omega versus Osprey. Number 2 is Keno versus Kiyomiya. And number 3 is honestly the GHC Tag Team Championships. But I still like Wrestle Kingdom more just because Omega versus Osprey is just like so far above everything else. Like, even if 2 matches in my top 3 are Noah matches, like Omega versus Osprey is better than like a lot of things we've had for like the past few years since Omega versus Okada 2. So yeah, that is it for this review. This is like the last Japanese show that I'm going to review this week. The next one is probably the LIJ versus Congo one. I got my boys from Congo to win. And yeah, I just put out, okay. I'm not gonna put it out. Yeah, it already happened. I put out like a preview and predictions of that show. Go watch it if you want to learn about Pro Wrestling Noah, about Congo, and how they're gonna stomp New Japan in the pay-per-view. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you don't know me. Hit that bell notification for future videos, and watch my shit. Bye-bye.